future, widen the mandate to a food systems approach. My name is Danny Nierenberg, and I am president and co-founder of Food Tank. We are a research and advocacy organization devoted to telling stories of hope and success in food and agriculture systems across the globe. And I think Koronivia is definitely a part of that hope and success. And I'm so pleased to be your moderator today, and a huge thanks to WWF for organizing this event and putting together such a great group of speakers and experts. We're here to discuss the importance of widening the mandate for the Koronivia Joint Work on Agriculture. For those of you who may not be familiar, the Koronivia Joint Work on Agriculture was set up at COP23 in 2017 to address the importance of transforming agriculture and food systems to help mainstream these issues in the UNFCCC process. It was groundbreaking work and continues to be, and is needed now more than ever before. And this is for obvious reasons, which we all know. As the global food security crisis worsens, biodiversity loss increases, and the climate crisis advances, the world really needs a holistic approach. And that is why Koronivia faces a pivotal decision on its future mandate and work plan. And today's speakers really believe that it will go beyond sustainable agriculture and address all components of sustainable food systems. This includes addressing sustainable, resilient agricultural production, food loss and food waste, shifting to healthy diets, and all of these things happening while also contributing to positive climate goals, which is why we're all here in Egypt this week. We have a really wonderful group of experts to speak on this topic, so let's get started. It is now my sincere honor and pleasure to introduce Alice Ruiza, the director of WWF Africa, who will help set the scene of the future of Koronivia. So great to have you, Alice. What an honor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. And I will be setting the scene by playing a video of the work we are doing in Kenya Gazi landing site, which supports about 950,000 fisher folk working as artisanal fisheries. They have been struggling with post-harvest losses, and we supported them with solar power cooling facilities in a public-private partnership. And this is very much in line with the Kigali Cooling Efficiency Program. Play.
We had realized that post-harvest losses is quite an issue with the fisher folks that we are targeting in most of these projects. So as WWF Kenya and WWF Denmark and WWF UK, we designed a project that will tackle the issue on fish post-harvest losses. The technical advantage of the Kigali project that we are implementing here at the coast is that it's green. Basically, it's environmentally friendly. It's environmentally friendly in the sense that the technology itself, it uses solar. And the refrigerant in the freezers, it's compliant to the Kigali amendment. So it's basically non-HFC. At the same time, it's low cost because solar is quite an affordable source of power. And at the same time, these technologies, it's user-friendly. For both sites, there is a working maintenance plan that the community used to operate this equipment. Some members of the BMUs were trained on how to operate this equipment. At the same time, we went ahead to train the fisher folks, at the fisher level, the traders on issues on sustainable fisheries, fish post-harvest losses, fish handling, and also issues on financial management. But we are saying that this is not the end. We have other projects that are coming in that are going to be supporting the fisherfolk communities along the coast on these aspects. Aspects of sustainable fisheries, aspects of fish post-harvest handling, aspects on governance structures. These are something that are continuous for us. And the partnership that we have fostered with the government and also the national government will play a very key role in us attaining all our sustainable fisheries goals.
Thank you. So this best practice from Kenya, WWF Kenya, actually provides zero emissions cooling to address food loss, and it shows clearly that we can do it. And it also shows that we should not only just talk about food loss and waste in food systems, but also the need to have aquaculture and fisheries be part of the ongoing dialogue on food systems. WWF is keen that the next steps that we are taking in the Koronivia Joint Work of Agriculture address the entire food system, including food waste and loss, of course. And we know that we need to address the entire food system when taking climate action, as it makes up a third of the current emissions. And of course, the IPCC is very clear that we cannot keep global warming to 1.5 degrees without addressing emissions from food systems. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Alice. That was amazing. And I love this project because it addresses multiple issues. It addresses post-harvest losses, which are so important, and an issue that WWF cares deeply about. It addresses the climate crisis. It addresses food security. It addresses, making sure that fishers and fisher folk have the business skills and resources that they need. So thank you for sharing that wonderful project. I really appreciate it. It is now my sincere pleasure to introduce our next keynote speaker, Dr. Nagwa Al-Karari. I hope I said that right. She's the Senior Waste Management for Her Excellency, Dr. Yasmin Fouad, Egypt's Minister of the Environment. And Nagwa is also the focal point for 50 by 2050. So the floor is yours, wherever she may be. I don't see her right at this moment. There you are. You're right in front of me.
Good morning, everyone. I would like to thank you all for inviting Her Excellency, and she's sending her sincere apology for not being able to attend today. Speaking out. So thank you so much. On behalf of Her Excellency, I'm going to be providing this keynotes in reply to this amazing topic and amazing issue we have been facing all over the world. As Koronivia Joint Work, agriculture has set the base of key milestones in the fight against climate change through its current mandate focus on the improvement of agricultural production via multiple party countries of the continent. And of course, this has been shown now in Nigeria, and we have it here also in Egypt and in other countries within Africa. Food security is a topic of urgency right now, with more than 820 million people suffering from hunger in the world today. However, agriculture contributes significantly to climate change, with agriculture, forestry, and other land use cases generated on quarter of the human greenhouse gas emission, making food security a topic that should be faced right now. For this reason, we see that why KJWA integrated soil, neutral use, water, livestock method for assessing adaptation and socioeconomic and food security dimension to climate change across the agricultural sector all over the world. However, reaching ambition target like this, specifically in Africa, and now especially during COP27, that this is the COP of implementation. So it is critical that we enter a new phase on our fight against climate change by tackling the required broader action to maximize positive impact. And that's why I am going to mention now 50 by 2050. 50 by 2050 is a global waste initiative, and it's called For Africa Toward a Global Impact. It's looking at all type of waste and all the continent of Africa. But agricultural waste, specifically food waste and food loss, we have 5 working groups. One group is specifically targeting this issue. As we know that we are in Africa, we have seen that we have an issue with nutrition. I think we are going to see more today. This is me now. This is not Dr. Yasmin. I am the focal point for 50 by 2050, and I feel so strong about it. So that's why I want to talk about it. We have a working group specifically for prevention, for food loss, food waste, and food prevention, and in how we can tackle this. And this has a huge mean for adaptation and mitigation. Given that food systems account for nearly 1/3 global of greenhouse gas emission, it is urgent to expand our efforts to tackle all components of food process within a high priority to be placed in the prevention of food loss and waste. Therefore, global action is needed to ensure food access for all, especially in the context of resources, secrecy, and maximization from production to final consumption to limit unnecessary food loss and food waste. Food, when it becomes a waste, what happens is we have open burning, we have illegal dumping, and this is going to be causing for us a huge loss for our food system. So it's going to disturb our food system drastically. We need to be able to tackle this issue not just from the end product or from the beginning. It has to be integrated system. So we have to look at it from the beginning till the end. And that is actually, again, I have to go back to 50 by 2050. That is the point of 50 by 2050, is to tackle integrated waste management, continent, all the continent of Africa, and actually at the end, we look at not just cities. Most of the initiative and activities we have seen in the region is tackling cities, not looking at the other urban area. We have to look at the whole continent, all type of waste, any kind of waste. We are going to leave it, even if it is called non-hazardous. If it's not treated correctly, it's going to be hazardous. And the meaning of 50 by 2050 is 50% of treatment of waste and recycling by 2050. As you can see, it's a 28 years initiative. And anyone expert in waste or is not expert, they know that it takes at least 5 years to walk in order to be able to put a good system for waste management. So that's why we have a 28 years. Some people blamed us for saying 50% also only by 2050. If we can do it, I'm happy. If we can accomplish it, great. If we can have more, fantastic. That's the icing at the top of the cake. As part of the governor proposed for the Global Waste Initiative, we are working with everybody, and we are adapting the system. We will come working with WWF, with all the parties in here, and we will be very happy to work as the Egyptian government. And I would like to highlight, this is not an Egyptian initiative. It's just gonna be announced from Egypt, but it's an African initiative. Thank you so much.
That was fantastic. And I have to say, I love Nagwa's passion. She found out last night at about midnight that she would be speaking today. So I think she did a wonderful job and really highlighting the need for doing this on a continent-wide basis and making sure that we're looking at food loss and food waste and all other kinds of waste in a really integrated and holistic manner. Thank you so much. I am now delighted to introduce our next speaker, His Eminence Cardinal Fridolin Basunga Ambogo, the Archbishop of Kinshasa in the Democratic Republic of Congo. He will discuss why Koronivia needs a food system approach rooted in dignity and care for creation, which I think is such an important part of this process. The floor is yours, Your Eminence.
Good morning, everybody. My English is so poor, so I'll give my communication in French. J'aimerais commencer par rappeler une histoire qui se déroule non loin de cet endroit où nous nous trouvons, ces péninsules de Sinaï en Égypte. Beaucoup d'entre vous se souviendront peut-être de l'histoire de Joseph dans le livre de la Genèse où il est dit qu'il a été vendu par ses propres frères et qu'il se trouve par hasard en Égypte où, grâce au pharaon qui a reconnu ses talents dans l'interprétation des songes, il est devenu le personnage le plus puissant aux côtés du pharaon. Genèse 41, 40 à 41. Ce qui est intéressant dans cet épisode, c'est que Joseph a su faire face à la menace de la famine et a pu sauver des vies. Grâce à son sens de l'anticipation et de sa bonne gouvernance, en tant que haut responsable du pays, Joseph, bien qu'étranger en terre d'Égypte, n'a pas profité de sa position pour s'enrichir, mais il a accompli sa mission en étant au service de tous et surtout des plus démunis. Il y a plus. Joseph a construit le pont de la fraternité sans frontières et de la solidarité, pour emprunter une expression chère au pape François. Et c'est ce pont que nous devons construire dorénavant afin de relever le défi du changement climatique et celui de la sécurité alimentaire. Dans mon communiqué du 17 octobre 2022 intitulé « Voyageons ensemble pour la justice climatique », j'ai décrit la crise climatique comme un exemple frappant de péchés structurels. J'entends par là qu'il s'agit d'un mal profond ancré dans des structures politiques, économiques et sociales perverses. C'est précisément cet aspect de la crise climatique qui empêche tant de personnes d'agir contre elle. Il est probablement juste de dire que parfois, nous nous sentons tous dépassés par l'ampleur de cette crise et son apparence insolubilité. Mais si la tradition catholique nous enseigne quelque chose, c'est que nous, les êtres humains, sommes appelés à collaborer avec Dieu vivant qui s'est fait proche de l'humanité, faisant face aux risques liés aux aléas climatiques comme au temps de Joseph. En parlant de Joseph, qui a su adopter une bonne stratégie pour assurer la sécurité alimentaire pour le peuple en son temps, je ne peux m'empêcher d'évoquer le récit de la création où il est dit que Dieu a assigné aux humains la mission de prendre soin de la terre. C'est le sens de l'expression « cultiver le jardin » en Genèse 2, 15 à 17. Et non de dominer la terre, la nature, ou au nom d'un prétendu progrès dont les effets sont néfastes pour le système alimentaire et pour le climat. Et pourtant, Dieu nous a promis une terre où ruisselle le lait et le miel en Exode 3, 8, 17 et 33, 3. Mais à condition qu'on respecte sa consigne. Dès lors, la question qui se pose est celle de savoir quel est le rapport entre la promesse divine et l'avenir de Koronivia. Plutôt que de donner ma propre réponse à cette question, je commencerai par partager ce que le pape François a dit sur le sujet il y a un peu plus d'un an. Le pape dit: si nous voulons garantir le droit fondamental à un niveau de vie adéquat et respecter nos engagements pour atteindre la fin zéro, il ne suffit pas de produire de la nourriture. Nous avons besoin d'un nouvel état d'esprit et d'une nouvelle approche holistique. Des systèmes alimentaires qui protègent la terre et gardent au centre la dignité de la personne humaine, qui assure une alimentation suffisante au niveau mondial et promeuvent un travail décent au niveau local, et qui nourrissent le monde aujourd'hui sans compromettre l'avenir. Fin de citation. Nous avons d'approche systématique et holistique de la transformation des systèmes alimentaires qui soient socialement justes, qui travaillent en harmonie avec la nature et qui soient gouvernés démocratiquement. Le changement climatique, la production agricole et la sécurité alimentaire sont inextricablement liés. S'attaquer à la sécurité alimentaire dans le contexte d'un climat changeant est l'un des défis déterminants de notre époque, notamment pour les négociations climatiques dans le cadre de la COP. Ces défis ne peuvent être relevés que par des politiques intersectorielles cohérentes qui réduisent les émissions de l'agriculture. Mais dans le même temps, elles doivent renforcer l'adaptation, c'est-à-dire que les agricultures augmentent leur capacité à faire face au changement climatique. La faim et la malnutrition sont les résultats des systèmes alimentaires défaillants et non d'une production inadéquate. Si nous transformons ces systèmes, ils peuvent devenir des solutions vitales pour les personnes et la planète. Je pense en particulier à la nécessité d'aider les petits producteurs des denrées alimentaires, par exemple agriculteurs, éleveurs et pêcheurs, à mettre en place des systèmes alimentaires durables et résistants au climat qui protègent leurs moyens de subsistance et leur sécurité alimentaire. Les négociations internationales sur le climat doivent soutenir la transformation des systèmes agricoles et alimentaires afin de les rendre plus résilients aux impacts du changement climatique. Pendant trop longtemps, le processus de la Convention cadre des Nations Unies sur le changement climatique, CNUC, a évité d'inclure les questions alimentaires et agricoles dans les négociations officielles. Heureusement, cela a changé avec la mise en place du travail conjoint sur l'agriculture de Koronivia. Grâce au processus de Koronivia, l'agriculture a déjà obtenu un statut très particulier dans le cadre de la CNUC, puisqu'elle est le seul secteur à faire l'objet d'une discussion globale. C'est une réussite, mais ce n'est pas suffisant face à l'urgence de crises climatiques, naturelles et alimentaires dans le monde. Maintenant que le processus de Koronivia touche à sa fin, il est impératif que nous amenions des discussions dans un espace d'action plus formel. Ce n'est qu'à ce moment-là que nous pourrons nous assurer que davantage de fonds climatiques seront consacrés à l'agriculture et que les gouvernements nationaux commenceront à inclure les systèmes alimentaires dans leur stratégie climatique. Pour cela, nous avons besoin d'un organe permanent dans le cadre de la Convention afin que les partis et les observateurs puissent partager des idées, trouver des solutions et établir un terrain d'entente pour les prochaines étapes. Un organe permanent aiderait également à mettre en œuvre et à rendre compte de progrès réalisés sur les questions complexes liées à l'agriculture et aux systèmes alimentaires. Mais nous devrions également discuter du type d'organe permanent dont nous avons besoin à la lumière de la crise mondiale actuelle. Le pape François nous dit que notre crise mondiale est complexe, qui est à la fois sociale et environnementale, provient de deux endroits. Premièrement, elle est enracinée dans un paradigme de connaissances fragmentées qui voit les symptômes mais ne peut s'attaquer aux causes profondes. Deuxièmement, lorsque la connaissance fragmentée est unie au pouvoir politique, elle crée des modèles de gouvernance exclusifs qui ne fonctionnent pas pour les personnes ou la planète. La seule réponse à cette dynamique pécheresse est de les inverser. C'est pourquoi, à travers le paradigme de l'écologie intégrale, le Saint-Père a invité le monde entier à valoriser les connaissances, à unir la famille humaine et à créer des formes de gouvernement plus égalitaires. Je demande donc à nos dirigeants, l'avenir de Koronivia incarnera-t-il ces principes ou sera-t-il fondé sur les mêmes paradigmes brisés qui ont causé la crise climatique en premier lieu? La description de l'écologie intégrale par le pape François nous donne l'occasion de réfléchir à nos manières de table. Que ce soit à la table de négociation, comme nous sommes là, à la table du dîner, ou même à la table de l'Eucharistie, que nous, catholiques, considérons comme la source et le sommet de toute la vie chrétienne. Inviter les gens à la table est une chose, et cela doit se faire. Mais lorsque Jésus a dîné à plusieurs reprises avec les personnes marginalisées par leur propre société, il nous a montré qu'il est également important de choisir nos tables avec sagesse. Comme l'enseigne le synode sur l'Amazonie, les communautés indigènes et locales, et en particulier les femmes qui produisent une grande partie de la nourriture mondiale, sont les protagonistes du sein de la protection et de la défense des droits des peuples et des droits de la nature. Il ne suffit pas que le Koronivia intègre des mécanismes participatifs dans sa gouvernance. La participation et le leadership des communautés locales doivent être au cœur même de la gouvernance alimentaire. Et si nous prenons l'écologie intégrale au sérieux, ce leadership doit être aussi inclusif et diversifié que possible, en adoptant une véritable approche des systèmes alimentaires plutôt que de se concentrer uniquement sur l'agriculture. Si un organe permanent chargé d'atteindre l'objectif de la Convention cadre suit le principe qui stipule que la production alimentaire ne soit pas menacée, nous aurons fait de progrès considérables dans nos efforts communs pour lutter contre le changement climatique et pour construire un monde plus juste et plus durable. Thank you for your
I found that incredibly moving. I am not a particularly religious person, but I believe that the climate crisis is a sin and that it is a moral conundrum that we can all work to solve. I especially liked what the Cardinal had to say about having better table manners, both at our dinner tables and at our board meeting tables and at the tables in parliaments and congressional halls across the world. So thank you for that, Cardinal. It was very, very inspiring. It is now my honor and pleasure to invite Mercedita Sambia, the Undersecretary of the Regional Development Group of the National Economic Authority. She will discuss why a food system approach is so important to the context in the context of food security. Undersecretary, welcome.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Good morning to everyone. And I thank the organizer for inviting the Philippines to discuss this particular topic on why a food system approach is so important to promote and strengthen food security. Ensuring food security is one of the challenges that all of us have to address to guarantee our survival. It does not only focus on making food available on the table, but also ensuring that these food are safe, nutritious, accessible, and affordable at any given time. Several food security-related policies are already put in place to direct plans, programs, and projects in guaranteeing that sufficient nutritious food are enjoyed by all, especially the marginalized. Despite all these efforts, meeting these targets, which are aimed for by the Sustainable Development Goal number 2 is feared to face delays, especially with the additional challenges that came to fore: the COVID-19 pandemic, the cross-border conflicts, and the worsening impacts of climate change. Gains achieved from previous decades are being eroded as we witness the escalation in the prevalence of malnutrition and the rise in the number of countries facing greater food insecurity. According to the latest FAO document on the state of food security and nutrition in the world, the prevalence of undernourishment increased from 8 to 9.3% from 2019 to 2020 and slowly rose to 9.8% in 2021. In addition to this, between 702 and 828 million people suffered hunger in 2021, and it is projected that 670 million people more will continue to suffer such in 2030. Additionally, around 2.3 billion in the world were moderately or severely food insecure in 2021, wherein 11.7% of the global population faced food insecurity at severe levels. Globally in 2020, an estimated 22% of children under 5 years of age were stunted, 6.7% were wasted, and 5.7% were overweight. Almost 3.1 billion people could not afford a healthy diet. This is 112 million more than in 2019, reflecting the inflation in consumer food prices stemming from the economic impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic and measures that put in place to contain it. These same challenges and issues are being faced by the Philippines, which are challenging in its effort to further improve food security. Surveys conducted in the Philippines show that 12.2% of Filipinos, or 3.1 families, experienced hunger during the first quarter of 2022. Based on the 2020 Rapid Nutrition Assessment Survey, there are about 56.3% of Filipinos having problems accessing food due to limited or no budget. 22.1% have faced limited public transportation, 21.6% loss of job, and 9.5% limited food stores in the respective areas, and no other members in the family to buy food. These issues are no different from those faced by other countries, issues that go beyond the availability to produce food. These ongoing challenges clearly indicate that the approach to attaining greater food security should not focus on food production alone, but on all aspects of the food system. As defined, food systems refer to the complete spectrum of actors and their interconnected value-adding activities from production through all processes and infrastructure that would ultimately feed the population. The systems can also exist within systems, for example, farming systems, agricultural systems, ecosystems, economic systems, and social systems. And within those are further subsets of water systems, energy systems, financing systems, marketing systems, policy systems, culinary systems, and so forth and so on. Sustainable food systems involves 3 dimensions: economic, social, and environmental dimensions. A food system is considered economically sustainable if the activities conducted by each food system or actor or support service provider are commercially or fiscally viable. This activity should generate benefits or economic value added for all categories of stakeholders: wages for workers, taxes for governments, profits for enterprises, and food supply improvements for consumers. And the social dimension, a food system is considered sustainable when there is equity in the distribution of the economic value added, taking into account vulnerable groups categorized by gender, age, race, and so forth and so on. Of fundamental importance, food system activities need to contribute to the advancement of important socio-cultural outcomes such as nutrition and health, traditions, labor conditions, and animal welfare. And the environmental dimension, sustainability is determined by ensuring that the impact of food system activities on the surrounding natural environment are neutral or positive, taking into consideration biodiversity, water, soil, animal and plant health, the carbon footprint and the waterproof footprint, food loss and waste, and toxicity. Having said all of this, we know that food systems do not encourage working in silos. Moreover, they do not allow one segment of the food system to jeopardize the other segments. For example, any proposed measures to address the problem, for example, like the African swine fever that is now plaguing numerous countries, will have to be assessed against all other dimensions of sustainability to ensure that there are no undesirable impacts. Questions like how would these measures impact the use of natural resources? Or would these measures affect poor and rich farmers differently, thus perhaps increasing the divide between them? Or would these measures have negative impacts on consumer health? Have to be studied, analyzed, and assessed to get a holistic vision that would enable the use of potential synergies and reveal often hidden trade-offs. This would ensure that while our targeted impact is positive, the net overall impact and the value of the food system activities will also be positive. To do this, evaluation properly means that the need to develop new or improve impact metrics. Food system approach is not new. The challenges that we went through to ensure quality and nutritious food supply and availability and accessibility just brought this concept to fore. Food systems are now at the crossroads of human, animal, economic, and environmental health. If these are ignored, the world economy could be exposed to ever larger health and financial shocks as climate changes and global population grows. We need to prioritize food system reforms in our build forward agendas to promote greater food security and make concrete inroads towards the Sustainable Development Goals and the Paris Agreement. Thank you very much and good day to all.
So great to have this perspective from the Philippines, and I'm so glad Mercedita mentioned the COVID-19 pandemic, the multiple conflicts that are happening across the globe. These are all things that we need to take into account. And her final point, that in order to really address our food systems holistically, they need to withstand these global shocks. They need to be resilient and capable of taking anything that comes at them. So thank you so much, Mercedita. That was wonderful. I have now the pleasure of inviting Javier Mateo Vega, the Senior Director of Partnerships for the Alliance of Bioversity International and CIAT, to give closing remarks. And I'm really interested in what you've heard and what we can learn from you and all of the work that you've done. Thank you so much. The stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Danielle. I'm truly delighted and honored to share the stage with such a fantastic panel of speakers. I've really enjoyed listening to your experiences, your ideas, insights, visions, and dreams for the future of agriculture and food systems in the context of the structural sin of climate change and of the critical role that Koronivia has and should continue to play in this space. So I wanted to summarize a little bit of what I heard today and some of the ongoing discussions around Koronivia. And I think what we're hearing a lot about is for the critical need for implementation. The past years of Koronivia have certainly been quite successful in generating knowledge and identifying priorities for climate action in agriculture. But I think we're recognizing that this is not enough. As most of you have highlighted, both in your official submissions as well as the various formal and informal meetings that have taken place, implementation will be crucial to make the work done so far meaningful and legitimate. And we cannot agree more with this. Now, of course, there are differences in how we all see implementation unfolding and taking place, but I think it's important to stress that it seems that we're taking off from the same common understanding. So as such, we need to at least start with an action plan, the implementation based on past workshops. And it's going to be very important to widen the scope of the work of Koronivia to go beyond agriculture and include food systems as a whole. If we don't do that, we will be addressing only one part of the problem and one part of the solution. And if we agree that implementation is key in coming years, we will also have to reflect on how to make that happen. This means providing countries with the tools to move towards action, and it can take many forms. As we've heard from you here and in other spaces, there is the need for more funding, but we might want to start by repurposing part of existing funding for climate and direct that towards agriculture, as has been done in other spaces, whether it's reforestation or RED+, for example. And we need to move and leverage more private finance in this space as well. Now, finance is not the only obstacle, of course. We need to strengthen technology transfer. We need to increase capacity building, capacity sharing. We need to engage more actively in the co-creation of solutions to climate resilience and low emissions development pathways. And of course, without involving farmers in the development of climate smart solutions and accompanying them on the ground, on their pathways to transformation, it's unlikely that adaptation or mitigation will be possible. We also need to better connect Koronivia to existing ongoing processes related to the Climate Change Convention and to create accountability mechanisms to monitor that implementation. One way of doing this, of course, is linking Koronivia to the nationally determined contributions to the national adaptation plans. If you look at most NDCs, as they stand now, they focus on energy and have excluded agriculture. And this is because many believe it's a zero-sum game, and that if you mitigate emissions in agriculture, you end up reducing your productivity and opportunities for economic growth. But this, of course, is not necessarily true. We recognize that adaptation and mitigation might prevail depending on the context and the type of agriculture in the countries that are engaged in this space. We do already have solutions today at our disposal that can help to achieve both of these goals, while also ensuring that countries can meet their food needs, develop their economies, and improve human well-being. And just to give a few examples, or one example, climate smart agriculture provides one framework to understand the synergies among productivity and adaptation and mitigation. And we have tons of evidence showing the potential for climate smart agriculture technologies to produce triple wins. For example, conservation agriculture in Tanzania, integrated soil fertility management in Kenya, agroforestry production systems in Latin America and Southeast Asia, and silvopastoral systems in Central and South America. As CGIAR, we are ready to work with partners to make sure that these solutions reach scale, that they're at your disposal, and we're ready to engage with you to support you in your journey towards climate resilient food systems. So I'd like to conclude by stressing the importance of coming out of COP27, of this critical space that has brought us together, with a strong and bold decision to have a successor for Koronivia, and clarity on the mandate and the modalities for this successor to move forward. We ultimately owe this to the more than 800 million people that are still going to bed hungry every day in the world, and with climate change exacerbating that problem. Once again, it's been delightful to be here with you, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Javier. And I think you brought up some really critical points that I want to reiterate. I mean, I think we all understand at this point that we need to stop talking and start doing, and the Koronivia work really highlights that. We've brought all of these working groups together. They have a mandate. Now it needs to be implemented, and we owe this, as Javier said, to the millions and millions of people who go hungry every night, but also the youth who we can hear from at the next pavilion next door, who are doing such incredible work to highlight these issues. And you know, that Koronivia is not just about the production of food, but it should take a more holistic approach and look at food systems as a whole. And this is very, very important, because what I've heard is that we can really look at our food and agriculture systems as a solution to our most pressing problems, not only the climate crisis, of course that's important, that's why we're all here, but other social, environmental, and economic problems, and those structural sins that the Cardinal mentioned before. Food and agriculture can really be the solution to what we're seeing. So I want to thank all of our panelists. Let's give them a round of applause, please. Thank you. They did an incredible job. And I also want to mention that Food Tank at foodtank.com will have an article summarizing the points that were made during today's session. So I hope you will check it out. Thank you again. It was wonderful to see you all. Take care. Happy COP.